We talk about the Bible. You are a priest and I'm a pastor. We both work in church. I'm not working in a church, but in some way I'm serving people who work in church. And sometimes I accept invitation from churches to do some preaching, workshops, retreats. I also have clients who are pastors, evangelists. So I think on the common ground, we both concerned about the well-being of church. One very important thing for the church is, at least the Protestant, is the Bible. How they interpret the Bible affects their life, their practice. After so many years of analytic training and psychoanalytic practice, I would like to hear your approach to understanding the Bible nowadays.
I don't know that I could tell you about my approach. You asked me for my approach. That's just one single person's approach, but I want to limit it, entirely limit it to that. So this is what I think about that. One way of looking at all of biblical literature is a record of God's dealing with us and our dealing with God. So it's a collection of conversational documents. Now, it happens, in my opinion, that the book of Genesis, especially the creation accounts, have a dreamlike quality.
Say some more about that.
I think that Adam and Eve may not have been human beings, but they may have been human beings in the larger sense, because I happen to think that we all participate. We have our individual lives, but our little individual lives participate in a greater life, the life of humanity, the life of the planet, the larger life.
Human destiny.
Human destiny, yeah. And I think that you have at the beginning, particularly in creation accounts, you have mythological, and when I say mythological, I know people will jump on me and say, well, that's not true. And
fictional.
Yes, it's true in a more real sense than truth. What comes to mind immediately is that I had an experience as a little boy with a little girl. She had nothing. She would come to school without anything to eat, and I would share my lunch with her, and the relationship was entirely open between her and me, and I think in that way we were participating in the joy of Eden.
While you were small?
Yeah, when I was a little boy. Yeah. We weren't afraid of each other. We weren't afraid of anything.
Yeah.
And I was happy to give her half of my lunch. And then I learned, as a matter of fact, when she said that she could come home and play with me, my mother said she couldn't. And I learned that the fact that we could share our meal together was extraordinary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I absolutely think, that she and I were also participating in the Eucharistic feast when we were doing that. And I've written about that. But my real point was that the Bible begins with a dreamlike feel to it.
Yes.
When I think of that Abraham's covenant, it occurred at sundown. And the cow was cut in two, and the flaming pot passing. Those are dream images. And then, if that were not enough, as I indicated before, there are 70 instances in the Bible where dreams are extremely important. And I would offer you that the last book of the Bible, just like the first book of the Bible, is a dream book. Mm-hmm. It's a vision.
Yeah, don't take it literally.
So, I don't know what's meant by taking something literally. Most things have a literal dimension, and most things can have a symbolic dimension. And I think psychoanalysis has always said that.
I like the way that you move between different spheres of life. You talk about Garden of Eden, your relationship with that childhood girl, and the Eucharistic meal, is the meal, is the relationship, you jumping from one dimension of relationship to another, and you link them up in some way that you see the linkage.
Yeah. I see the linkage. I feel the linkage.
Yes.
But Well, I think it's important that I not tell someone else what it means. I can say, this is what it means to me. That's why I was very careful in your question.
Yes.
This is what it means to me. I'm not saying it has to mean that to you. You may not like that at all. It may not work for you that way. And that's perfectly fine with me.
Yes. Different person.
I think freedom is a good idea.
Yes. You offer your own understanding, your notion as an invitation to others, to stimulate them to think deeper about their own life. And that's good. I like the way that you talk about the Bible and the dream. It's always a parallel process. On one hand, there's the text, the Bible text talk about one thing, a story, and another process is a symbolic understanding that relates to our life, to our own story, trying to find the relationship between them. So the text is not only the letters, the words, but also deeper meaning.
Well, I think my response is something that I didn't say a while ago in the answer to the question, but I will want to say it now. I'm sure it's just me, but I have always thought the purpose of the Bible is to make Jesus real for me. And when I hear, I'm an Episcopalian, just yesterday at St. John's Cathedral in Hong Kong, in a service in Cantonese, and I didn't understand a single word of it, and didn't have to understand a single word of it to understand it. So, given that kind of attention, I think the Bible, the intention of the Bible is to bring us Jesus. And so when the gospel is read, when the gospel is proclaimed, we stand where the disciples stood. Sometimes we stand where his other friends stood. I think that, take the woman at the well. I think that's me and you.
Yeah.
We've been to the well.
Yeah.
And you could go through all of the New Testament and do the same sort of thing. But I mean, it requires a kind of attention. When I hear the gospel proclaimed, I feel that I have been in the presence of Jesus. And do I get it? Sometimes. Do I get it every time? Certainly not.
I agree. When we read the Bible, certain stories remind us of our own story. Similar situation.
Yeah.
Like this Samaritan woman. Yes, we have our time of confusion, longing, and disappointment. You want to talk to other person to find out what's going on, and that's exactly like her.
Yes.
Is that the Bible brings us to Jesus? Okay, I agree. But what kind of Jesus? See, for some people, the Jesus is very violent, very aggressive, very harsh. For other people, Jesus is loving and open-minded. What do you think?